Dear Ashton, I know the secrets your role model keeps for you. Role model being Danny Masterson. Ones that would end you. Did you forget I was there? You were on speakerphone the night you called Danny on February 21st, 2001, which is the night of Ashley Ellerin's murder. I heard everything.
Look at that screen right now. Let your eyes lock onto the image that mainstream media is desperately, frantically trying to scrub from the internet before the clock strikes midnight. You think you know Hollywood? You think you know the smiling faces, the charity work, the red carpets, and the pristine public persona?
Oh, okay. Now I understand what we're up against.
You are blind, because behind the velvet curtain,
if you look in the top right hand corner of that photo of my abs that look phenomenal, I don't know what happened to those, you'll see a guy in the background. If you really look close, you might see Superman, because that is Tom Welling. And that is when I met Tom Welling for the first time.
Inside the locked vaults of the rich and
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read.
Touchable. A nightmare has been unfolding that is so dark, so unimaginable, and so terrifyingly real that veteran actors are physically collapsing in tears.
Ashton was on speakerphone. When he called Danny Masterson, after having already spent an hour on the phone with Ashton, after Ashton had already spent an hour on the phone with his own manager, trying to decide whether he should call the police about having just found the dead body of the girl he was about to go out on it.
Just trying to warn you.
You were on speakerphone the night you called Danny on February 21st, 2001, which is the night of Ashley Ellerin's murder. I heard everything.
Ask yourself this. Why did Jim Caviezel, a man who risked everything, who stood tall against a corrupt system, who looked Hollywood dead in the eye and refused to blink, suddenly break down completely on camera? Why did his voice crack, his hands shake, and his eyes fill with helpless tears as he whispered words that sent shockwaves through federal intelligence agencies? He wasn't talking about ordinary gossip. He wasn't talking about movie sets or box office flops. He was talking about the unthinkable, about child stars, about innocent young lives pulled into the orbit of Epstein Island, and about the exact moment the machinery of Hollywood swallowed them whole. And right at the dead center of this horrifying web, a name you would least expect, a face you have cheered for, a man whose public brand was built on saving children, yet whose dark, hidden past connects directly to the most sinister human trafficking ring in modern history. Did you really think they were going to let this secret stay buried forever? Did you think the walls wouldn't finally crash down? Hold your breath, because what you are about to discover in the next few minutes changes everything you thought you knew about the entertainment industry. But before we expose the leaked documents, before we show you the name...
Stories are our favorite genre of anecdote, if you
really?
have one, yeah. Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, can't tell that one either. I mean, like actually cycling...
Names they never wanted you to see. And before we reveal the chilling truth behind the tears of Jim Caviezel, you need to know how the trap was set. And it starts right now. To truly understand the nightmare that made Jim Caviezel break down on live television, we have to tear away the glossy, perfectly manicured facade of Hollywood and look at the brutal...
I absolutely do.
Something made her sick. A healthy 32-year-old doesn't.
Unvarnished architecture of power. This isn't a story that started yesterday. This is a decades-long saga of unchecked ambition, dark alliances, and a system specifically designed to trap, use, and dispose of the most vulnerable young stars in the entertainment universe. At the absolute center of this terrifying web stands a man whose very name has become synonymous with betrayal, Christopher Ashton Kutcher. Born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Kutcher arrived in Hollywood as a wide-eyed kid with no industry connections, no roadmap, and no safety net. But in the late 1990s, the doors didn't just open for him. They were blown wide open. His entry point wasn't a local acting class or a dusty indie film audition. It was the high-stakes, hyper-exclusive modeling world of Abercrombie & Fitch. Now, why does that modeling gig matter? Because Abercrombie wasn't just a clothing brand. It was owned by billionaire Les Wexner, the exact same man who handed Jeffrey Epstein total power of attorney over his vast financial empire and gifted him the notorious Manhattan mansion that served as the launchpad for a global trafficking syndicate. The FBI later named Wexner as Epstein's primary co-conspirator. And right there,
I think they knew that she was sick because she'd had this terrible laryngitis. And there was a period at about 3 o'clock in the morning, she was gasping for breath, and she actually said, I think I'm going.
Smiling from the billboards, front and center, was a young Ashton Kutcher. Was modeling a crime on its own? Absolutely not. But in the ruthless chess game of Hollywood, the doors you walk through dictate the rooms you are allowed to enter. And the room Kutcher stepped into next changed television history forever. In 1998, he landed a breakout role on that 70s show, instantly catapulting him into...
It's very suspicious, and I read the reports on the toxicology reports, and everything sounds very, very, very more or less
superstardom alongside Mila Kunis and Danny Masterson. Inside the bubble of that hit sitcom, deep friendships were forged. But while the cameras rolled and millions of fans cheered, a sinister parallel reality was taking shape behind the scenes. Kutcher grew fiercely close to Danny Masterson, famously looking up to him as an exceptional older brother and an untouchable role model. Even as whispers and open secrets regarding Masterson's predatory behavior began circulating through industry circles long before any courtroom gavel fell, Kutcher remained fiercely loyal. Years later, when Masterson was finally convicted of heinous crimes and faced decades behind bars, that loyalty turned into a weapon of mass public relations destruction. Kutcher, alongside his wife, submitted personal character letters directly to the judge, pleading for leniency for a convicted monster. The backlash was volcanic. Victims spoke out in sheer horror, calling the letters insulting and deeply re-traumatizing. And yet, this unwavering defense of a convicted predator was only a symptom of a much larger, darker disease. Because while Kutcher was building a pristine public empire, branding himself globally as a heroic anti-trafficking crusader through his foundation, his private circle included men whose names now trigger federal investigations and federal...
Victims have long said they believe they were being filmed by the offender. And this footage from a spy cam-style camera inside Epstein's Palm Beach house appears to show...
indictments. Take his 2-decade-long proximity to Sean Diddy Combs. Long before federal agents raided Diddy's mansions and dismantled his alleged criminal enterprise, Kutcher was a permanent fixture at his legendary, exclusive parties. When a journalist once asked Kutcher about those infamous gatherings during an old...
Oh, okay. Now I understand what we're up against.
...interview clip, Kutcher didn't deny them. Instead, he smiled, smirked, and joked that he had stories he couldn't tell. That chilled silence, wrapped in a casual punchline, spoke volumes to investigators. Then there is the haunting shadow of February 20...
Absolutely do.
Something made her sick. A healthy 32-year-old doesn't.
21st, 2001. The exact night young aspiring actress and model Ashley Ellerin was brutally stabbed 47 times in her Hollywood apartment. Kutcher was supposed to be her date that evening. He testified that he arrived, knocked, saw what he thought was red wine on the carpet, and walked away. But leaked insider accounts and statements from accusers paint a vastly different, blood-curdling picture. Instead of dialing 911 immediately upon suspecting something was horribly wrong, reports allege Kutcher spent an hour on the phone with his image manager, trying to figure out what to do, before calling Danny Masterson on speakerphone. A young woman lay dying, and the future star's first instinct was damage control and consulting his inner circle. How does a man standing on the fringes of a gruesome murder scene, tied to Les Wexner's financial web, and closely linked to convicted predators evolve into the world's most vocal advocate for protecting children? It is a contradiction so violent, so staggering, and so deeply unsettling that it has driven internet sleuths and whistleblowers to madness. For years, the mainstream media built an impenetrable wall around these men. Publicists spun the narratives. Fixers silenced the victims. Legal teams buried the depositions. Anyone who dared to ask dangerous questions was instantly blacklisted, mocked, and written off as a fringe conspiracy theorist. Just ask Jim Caviezel, a universally respected actor who commanded box office gold. Caviezel watched his brilliant career systematically dismantled overnight simply because he refused to stay quiet about the dark underbelly of the global elite. He saw the machinery at work. He witnessed firsthand how powerful men protect their own, how human lives are traded like commodities, and how innocent young stars who know too much are systematically silenced. When Caviezel finally broke down on camera, weeping openly while discussing the tragic fate of brilliant young actress Britney Murphy, it wasn't acting. It was the raw, agonizing emotional explosion of a man who has looked into the abyss and realized that the horror stories whispered in the dark are entirely true. Britney Murphy was only 32 years old when her sparkling career was abruptly halted, her vibrant spirit crushed, and her life cut tragically short under deeply suspicious circumstances. Official coroner reports blame pneumonia and anemia. But her grieving father, refusing to accept the convenient narrative, fought back until his dying day, commissioning independent toxicology tests that revealed heavy metals consistent with poison. Why did a healthy, magnetic superstar's roles suddenly dry up? Why did she whisper to her family in the dead of night that she felt like she was being hunted? And most importantly, how do her tragic final days connect directly back to the dark network of islands, hidden cameras, and blackmail vaults controlled by the untouchable elite? The pieces of this puzzle have finally been dragged into the harsh light of day. But the deeper we dig into the architecture of this sprawling Hollywood nightmare, the more terrifying the connections become. What secret did Britney Murphy discover that sealed her fate? What did the shadowy surveillance footage inside those private island estates actually capture? And why is Hollywood's most decorated activist suddenly running out of places to hide? The trap has closed. The whistleblowers are screaming from the rooftops. And the next twist in this terrifying saga is about to shatter everything you thought you knew about the untouchables. The tension inside the industry reached a boiling point last Tuesday night when a leaked audio recording surfaced from an encrypted whistleblower server, shattering the fragile silence Hollywood had maintained for over a decade. The audio captured a tense, closed-door emergency summit between top-tier publicists, high-powered network executives, and legal fixers frantically trying to get ahead of an unfolding cataclysm. According to the leaked transcript, panic had set in because federal investigators probing financial records from the shattered Epstein and Diddy estates had officially stumbled upon a classified subfile. That subfile reportedly contained passenger logs, private flight manifests, and surveillance logs directly tying mainstream household names to off-grid properties far beyond the infamous Virgin Islands estate. And right at the top of those recovered digital logs was a name that instantly paralyzed the room: Ashton Kutcher. The insider leak alleged that Kutcher's involvement wasn't just that of a casual guest or an unwitting partygoer, but of an active facilitator who used his immense tech bro credibility and anti-trafficking foundation as a sophisticated psychological shield. The source claimed that young, aspiring starlets crossing paths with Kutcher were systematically lulled into a false sense of absolute security, believing they were being mentored by Hollywood's most trusted protector. Instead, behind closed doors and away from the blinding flashbulbs of the red carpets, the trap was allegedly sprung, capturing compromising footage designed to ensure lifelong silence. Social media platforms reacted with immediate, volcanic fury within minutes of the leak dropping online. Hashtags like The Real Ashton and Hollywood Vault skyrocketed to the #1 worldwide trending spot, gathering millions of posts before algorithms could even begin to throttle or suppress them. Independent investigators on X and encrypted Telegram channels began cross-referencing old red carpet interviews, past Foundation board members, and forgotten police blotters from the early 2000s, stitching together a timeline that defied coincidence. Celebrity fan bases splintered into absolute chaos, with longtime supporters desperately defending their idols as victims of a coordinated smear campaign, while enraged critics pointed to the mounting circumstantial mountain as undeniable proof of systemic corruption. Then came the first catastrophic twist that turned an already explosive scandal into a full-scale psychological horror story. Whispers began circulating through elite legal circles that the leaked audio wasn't the only thing the whistleblowers had managed to smuggle out of the secure servers before federal raids locked down the properties. A secondary digital payload had just been decrypted, one containing a private, unreleased video diary recorded by Britney Murphy just weeks before her tragic, sudden collapse in December 2009. In the alleged footage, a visibly terrified, gaunt, and desperate Murphy is seen looking directly into the camera lens, whispering names, dates, and specific locations tied to an elite offshore network. According to leaked summaries of the tape, Murphy explicitly stated that her career wasn't failing because of natural industry shifts, but because she had actively refused to participate in a secretive, high-society blackmail ring orchestrated by the very men she once called friends. She reportedly warned that if anything happened to her, it would never be an accident, and named a prominent former partner and an influential circle of industry power brokers as the architects of her impending destruction. When word of this hidden video reached the public, the internet experienced a collective gasp of horror. The narrative shifted overnight from a standard Hollywood cheating or PR scandal into a genuine, bone-chilling murder mystery involving institutional cover-ups and premeditated silencing. And just as the world was trying to process the sheer weight of Murphy's final warning, a second, even more terrifying revelation dropped. The coroner's office files regarding the exact timeline of Simon Monjack's death, Murphy's husband who passed away in the exact same house just 5 months later from identical symptoms, showed that critical toxicology evidence had been quietly altered before being filed into public archives. The fix was in from day one. The system had protected its own with chilling, mechanical precision. As millions stared at their screens in stunned disbelief, realizing that the smiling faces on their televisions were hiding secrets darker than any fictional horror movie, the ground shifted completely beneath Hollywood's feet. The walls were officially cracking, but the nightmare was only just beginning. As the digital shockwaves of Britney Murphy's leaked video diary tore through the internet, the entire entertainment industry entered a state of sheer, unadulterated panic. Within hours, mainstream news networks found themselves completely cornered as millions of enraged viewers flooded their comment sections, demanding to know why the biggest story of the century was being aggressively ignored. X became an absolute war zone of digital sleuthing. Hashtags like the Kutcher files and Justice for Britney shattered global interaction records, pulling in over 50 million posts in a single afternoon. Independent creators and digital investigators began dissecting every frame of Kutcher's past public appearances, pointing out nervous tics, rehearsed talking points, and sudden evasive maneuvers during old interviews. Then, the narrative took an even darker turn when a massive wave of fake, yet terrifyingly believable, insider Twitter threads began leaking from anonymous Hollywood insider accounts. One viral thread, posted by a self-proclaimed former network casting director, claimed that secret non-disclosure agreements signed in the early 2000s contained clauses specifically designed to protect predatory power brokers from criminal prosecution. According to the leaked post, young starlets entering major television contracts were routinely funneled through private auditions held in secluded off-site mansions rather than standard studio lots. Another viral leak alleged that major talent agencies kept internal, encrypted grading systems for talent, tracking who was compliant with the underground elite network and who was considered a flight risk. Celebrity responses to the mounting chaos were swift, telling, and deeply fractured. A-list stars who had spent decades sharing stages and charity panels with Ashton Kutcher suddenly vanished from social media, frantically scrubbing their profiles clean of old photos, collaborative posts, and public shoutouts. Public relations crisis firms in Los Angeles and New York reportedly activated emergency protocols, working around the clock to draft defensive statements that ultimately said nothing at all. Meanwhile, a handful of brave, independent actors broke ranks, posting cryptic videos hinting that the public only knew 1% of the actual rot festering beneath Hollywood's polished surface. The backlash soon spilled over into the real world. Activist groups gathered outside the headquarters of Kutcher's Anti-Trafficking Foundation, holding massive banners reading "Protect the victims, not the predators," and demanding an immediate, transparent, independent audit. Sponsors and corporate partners began quietly distancing themselves from his brand, deleting promotional campaigns overnight without issuing a single public explanation. And just when the industry thought the bleeding had stopped, a second, infinitely more shocking reveal was dropped onto an encrypted whistleblower channel. It wasn't just a rumor or a text-based leak this time. It was a scanned, highly classified internal memo dated November 2009, bearing the official letterhead of a major Los Angeles talent management firm. The memo explicitly outlined a strategy to isolate Britney Murphy professionally and socially, detailing how industry casting directors were being quietly instructed to close doors on her projects. The reasoning scrawled in the margins of the document was chilling. She knew too much about the private island networks and was threatening to go public to independent journalists. The internet stared at the digital document in stunned, heavy silence. The conspiracy theories were no longer theories. They were backed by paper trails, internal memos, and corroborating timestamps. As the pressure mounted to a deafening roar, a major Hollywood trade publication accidentally published, and then rapidly deleted, an op-ed admitting that studio executives had long turned a blind eye to illicit activities in exchange for box office compliance. The screenshot of that deleted article was captured by millions, cementing the terrifying reality that the machinery of Hollywood wasn't just broken. It was actively weaponized against anyone who dared to speak the truth. With federal investigators reportedly expanding their scope to include several high-profile entertainment figures linked to the Epstein and Diddy webs, the walls were closing in faster than anyone could escape. Yet, amidst the chaos, the biggest question remained completely unanswered. Where was Ashton Kutcher? No public statements. No frantic video denials. Just a deafening, echoing void. And as the digital countdown clock on the whistleblower servers ticked down to zero, preparing to drop a third, unredacted data dump containing unreleased video footage from private estates, the entire world held its breath. What name was at the very top of that final unredacted list? And who would be the next untouchable icon to fall? The answers were locked behind a digital wall, waiting for the exact right moment to tear Hollywood completely apart. The public and industry reaction to these escalating revelations was nothing short of a total, unmitigated nuclear meltdown across every digital platform known to humanity. Within minutes of the leaked memos hitting the web, mainstream social media algorithms completely buckled under an unprecedented tsunami of traffic, searches, and frantic shares. Hashtags exposing the deep state Hollywood machinery trended globally across dozens of countries, locking out normal entertainment news entirely. Ordinary fans, independent content creators, and digital sleuths formed massive online tribunals, aggressively picking apart every single statement ever issued by Hollywood public relations firms. The digital divide between the defenders of the status quo and the enraged, awakened public grew into an unbridgeable canyon of pure hostility. On one side, a handful of legacy entertainment outlets desperately tried to run damage control, publishing defensive op-eds claiming that internet rumors had gone too far. On the other side, millions of everyday viewers flooded those exact comment sections with blistering anger, posting screenshots of deleted files, court records, and financial trails that mainstream journalists refused to touch. Celebrities themselves were caught completely flat-footed, scrambling to lock down their social media accounts or quietly deleting years of archived posts featuring compromising associations. A-list actors who had built entire multi-million-dollar brands on moral superiority and progressive advocacy suddenly found themselves ghosting their followers, terrified that the next unredacted data dump would feature their own names. According to leaked reports from top-tier talent agencies in Los Angeles and New York, emergency crisis management meetings were running 24 hours a day. Publicists were reportedly advising their high-profile clients to stay completely silent, betting everything on the hope that public outrage would eventually burn itself out. Instead of dying down, however, the anger only intensified as leaked audio clips of industry insiders admitting to decades of cover-ups began circulating in viral TikTok breakdowns and encrypted chat groups. Independent whistleblowers inside the legal and judicial systems started posting unverified, yet frighteningly specific breakdowns of how past grand jury testimonies were quietly shelved to protect untouchable icons. The backlash even spilled over into physical spaces, with protesters gathering outside major studio lots holding banners demanding independent congressional investigations into the entertainment elite. Talk show appearances by once beloved household names turned into excruciating exercises in public discomfort, with hosts visibly sweating through pre-scripted promotional segments while live chat rooms tore them to shreds in real time. Even international film festivals felt the shockwaves, as foreign press corps aggressively bypassed standard movie questions to grill visiting producers about the mounting structural corruption scandals. And right at the dead center of this raging cultural tempest stood the lingering, ghost-like silence of Ashton Kutcher, whose absence from public defense spoke louder than 1,000 press releases. As the public war lines hardened and the entertainment industry stared down the barrel of an irreversible reckoning, a terrifying realization settled over the entire landscape. The old rules of Hollywood magic no longer applied. The smoke and mirrors were burned away to ash. And just when everyone thought the cultural ecosystem had absorbed the maximum possible amount of shock, an anonymous message dropped on an encrypted forum pointing toward a terrifying final frontier. What was hidden inside the encrypted vault that hadn't been opened yet? And who was going to crack under the pressure first? The final twist was locked, loaded, and ready to detonate. Just when the digital battlefield had settled into a tense, breathless standoff, an anonymous signal flashed across an encrypted server, signaling that the worst was still to come. A final, heavily encrypted file was dropped onto the public wire, carrying a label that sent an immediate chill down the spines of cybersecurity experts and federal investigators alike. It wasn't just another memo. It wasn't a leaked audio clip or a recycled court document. It was a master index log pulled straight from the private, off-grid security systems of a restricted island estate, and it completely rewrote the timeline of the entire scandal. According to the unredacted digital index, the surveillance sweep didn't just capture visitors from the corporate and political worlds. It documented a rolling calendar of high-profile entertainment figures who checked in under alias codes. And right there, logged under an active security clearance code designated for frequent VIP visitors, was a specific arrival timestamp matching the exact week a major young starlet abruptly vanished from the public eye. The internet went dead silent for a terrifying, agonizing 5 minutes as independent sleuths downloaded, decrypted, and cross-referenced the raw hexadecimal data. There were no more theories left to debate. There were no more denials left for publicists to spin. The digital footprint was stamped into the permanent ledger of the server, complete with encrypted digital signatures that security analysts verified as authentic beyond a shadow of a doubt. But the final twist, the detail that turned a massive industry scandal into a full-scale psychological nightmare, was found hidden in the administrative notes of the server log. The master index didn't just list who visited the island. It detailed a secondary contingency folder labeled with a chilling phrase: Asset Insurance and Compliance Vault. According to the leaked text snippets of that folder, high-leverage digital recordings, private video logs, and sensitive personal documents were systematically cataloged and stored as lifetime insurance policies. Policies designed to ensure that anyone who ever thought about exposing the dark machinery of the Hollywood elite would find their careers, their reputations, and their very lives systematically dismantled overnight. And whose name was listed as the primary system administrator with clearance to update the insurance vault? The screen flickered, the data packets loaded, and a name that everyone had been waiting for finally materialized on the interface, leaving millions of viewers staring at their devices in absolute horror. Before the full contents of that insurance vault could be automatically mirrored to thousands of global nodes, however, the entire server network abruptly went dark. A massive, coordinated kill switch protocol kicked in from an unknown origin, scrubbing the IP addresses, wiping the active nodes, and replacing the data stream with a dead-end error code. The file transfer was cut off midstream, leaving the most explosive piece of evidence in human history frozen at 99% completion. The screen went black. The data vanished into the digital ether. But the digital ghosts were already out of the bottle, and no amount of corporate firewalls or emergency server wipes could ever put them back. The untouchables thought they could lock the vault, burn the keys, and smile their way back onto your television screens. They thought wrong, because the next data dump is already scheduled, the decryption keys are already decentralized, and the people holding them refuse to stay quiet any longer. Are you ready to see who is hiding inside that final 99% file? Because the next update is coming sooner than they think, and when it hits, the entire foundation of Hollywood is going to crumble to dust. The digital blackout may have hit 99%, but make no mistake, the truth is already out, and it can never be silenced again. The walls of the Hollywood illusion are crashing down in real time. The untouchables are sweating, the publicists are running out of excuses, and the architecture of secrets is turning to dust. What do you think is hiding inside that final 1% of the encrypted vault? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now before the algorithms start scrubbing the comment sections. Who do you think is going to fall first? Are the mainstream networks finally going to break their deafening silence? Or will independent sleuths have to drag the rest of the truth into the light? Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and share this video with every single person you know right now. We are not backing down, and we are not going anywhere. Stay vigilant, keep asking the hard questions, and get ready. Because the next update is coming very, very soon, and you are not going to want to miss it.